Hello everybody and welcome back to our mommy chat. The last video we talked about breastfeeding. What is the big deal? In this video we're going to be talking about what to expect in the first few days of breastfeeding and the challenges that come with breastfeeding. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the biggest reasons why people don't breastfeed is because of the challenges that are involved in breastfeeding. So we're going to talk about what these challenges are, what anybody that wants to exclusive breastfeed should expect in the first few days, and how we can alleviate those challenges to make it not look like challenges. So maybe we should talk about our experiences from our first few days of breastfeeding. So it's a bit more realistic and close to home. So what were your experiences for the first few days?
So before I talk about my experience, I'd just like to say that with every woman it's different.
Yes.
So for me it may be easy and smooth, for another person it may be tough. Sure. Because the structure of our breast and the hormonal balances and the different situations surrounding the delivery can make either breastfeeding, the initial stages of breastfeeding, smooth or a bit tricky. For me, for each of my kids, so for when I just had them, so the usual thing, they would put the baby to the breast to try to have the baby latch on and initiate the suckling. So that's the usual practice. But for the hospital, I had my babies. So once you have the baby, they want the mother to rest. So for the first few hours, they tend to give the baby food.
Okay.
So then afterwards, they bring the baby to you for you to begin to establish breastfeeding. So for me, yes. So the latching process. Now let me just talk generally now. The latching process sometimes it's a slow build-up process. So once the baby starts and the milk begins, because it's a reflex action, the suckling now sends messages to the brain and the hormonal system is triggered and the milk begins to flow. So for the milk to flow, the baby has to suckle. So the more the baby suckles, the more the milk flows. So encourage, even if nothing is coming out, so because I know some women will say, oh, but nothing is coming out, my breast is not really flowing. Yes, it would not really, because it's not a tap with very high pressure. It starts a little at a time. So you unwind, you're opening it a little at a time. At first it begins to trickle and then it begins to come out and then it becomes established. And then you now notice that your breast is engorged and it's even spilling out by itself. But it doesn't start out like that. So sometimes we need to know these things so that we can be patient and not be, not to be bothered or worried or troubled, because that in itself can affect the flow of the milk. So you have to be at peace and just know that doing it consistently would eventually will cause the reflex, would cause the letdown, it's called the letdown reflex, would make the milk flow well eventually. So for me, usually it starts slow. It's a slow process. So the baby tends to latch on easily, and by the second day, my nipples are on fire. If I want to talk about my own experience, they'll just, for each child. So the midwife would say, oh, maybe you're not latching, maybe you're not positioned properly, would position properly, would do all the works. But for each of my children, I had issues with nipple pain, soreness of the nipple. It was so bad, I'll be shaking from pain. But I still want to give them, because I know that the only way this milk can flow is by having them suckle on it. So we'll get to the part where we'll talk about things to relieve the pain. So for me, really, it was the soreness of the nipple. The pain, in fact, when I think about it, it makes me cringe. But I just decided, you know what, I'm going to do this, to the end, and God helping me bear the pain, if I have to take meds, to help with the pain. by the second week, we're established and we just flow. And we just flow.
For me, it was the breastfeed was a bit difficult because, you know, first time now I was not, I'd read, but, you know, it's a different thing to read and to actually experience.
And the theory.
And so I didn't breastfeed until a few hours because of surgery and all that. But at the time they even birthed him, I was still in the mood of, please don't bring any child close to me. But it was, the thing that first registered was pain. For me, it was the pain. I don't know why, because a few hours before you give birth, you don't have any pain.
You're not even aware of the breast, but in thought, you know.
You're not aware of the breast, and just like 5-10 minutes after, they just put one child, and it's so painful. I don't know how. The body is so amazing, honestly. Like, the pain was, you know, something else, but you have to just bear the pain for the child.
Interestingly for me, I don't so much remember the labor pain as much as I remember the latching pain. Because it can last, at least for a week. I may have to, you know, it will be sore, it will heal up. It's still healing, but I still have to put him to the breast. So it's
true. So what I did for that pain, like the first 2 weeks or so, I still was having the pain on and off. But the first week was something else. What I did was I would pump. You know, when it was very unbearable, I would pump and give him like the other one, so that to relieve the one that is so sore, then, you know, keep alternating like that. So I probably just would give him one that is very sore for like a day or two to allow that one heal. Then pump that breast, so avoid engorgement and all of that. So that was one of the challenges that I had, and that was how I, you know, solved it to just pump for it to heal a bit. Yes. So what else?
Okay, so for let's looking at the child. So there are issues, there are things that are related to the child that can delay lactation. For the baby, initially latching on may be an issue, especially if the baby has been on bottle feeding, you know, because the methodology of sucking from the bottle is different from latching to the breast. So the first few hours of the baby getting a grasp of latching may be an issue. So he's not latching properly, or he or she is not latching properly, and so the sucking reflex hasn't really been initiated. So that may take a while, but it shouldn't take too long. Now, some babies may be born with tongue tie, and that can also affect the way they latch. And that will cause pain for the mother eventually over time, because of the way the nipple is positioned in the breast, in the baby's mouth. So improper latching from, you know, maybe lack of experience for the newborn, and some problems with the baby sometimes can cause problems for the mother eventually with sore nipples. And then also sometimes the baby may have thrush or yeast infection. In that case, you see very white, stains on the baby's mouth. Sometimes it may even be the mother who has the thrush, and you may see the white speckles around the nipple of her breast. So all those can cause pain for the mother eventually, and cause latching delays. Then the positioning of the baby. There are three main positionings for the baby. There's the cradle position, there's the football position. That football position is actually good for babies who were born prematurely or who are very small. So there's the way, you know, there's a methodology that we can get into now. So that's the, and then the third position is the lying position, where the mother is lying down, the baby is lying down, she's positioning, which usually is advocated for mothers who have had a cesarean operation or a very difficult delivery, so that there's no pressure on the perineum of the mother. So that also, the positioning of the baby to the breast could also affect or influence how well the baby latches on or not, which can also affect the nipples. Now, some people also may have blocked, you know, some blocked ducts from the breast, maybe from not from engorged breasts, and if that is not taken care of, it can lead to mastitis. That's infection and inflammation, you know, of the ducts and all the parts of, you know, the breast, and that can cause a lot of pain for the mother. And in that case, there's a need for treatment. So you call your gynecologist, call your doctor, have it checked. You need to have antibiotics prescribed and some other home remedies that can help to alleviate the pain. So those are some of the challenges that can occur during the first few months of the first few days of initiating breastfeeding.
So what can we do?
Okay, so first I want to say that be reassured, every mother has gone through this one way or the other. I have 3 kids, and for each child I had issues with breastfeeding, initiating breastfeeding. And as we have talked about extensively, it can really look like a Herculean task, like it's an impossible task, like, oh, your breast is never going to flow, it's never going to be enough for the baby. But it can be enough. With persistence and holding on and determination, you will pull through. Because I remember I would think, am I sure I can do this? Am I sure I can do this? By the end of the week, we're happy. Baby is happy. Mom is getting herself into the flow of, you know, breastfeeding. And one thing we didn't talk about was the positioning for the mother. If you're not comfortable when breastfeeding, if you're slouching, if you're not, I mean, those things come back to affect the health and well-being of the mother. And if you're not very comfortable when you're breastfeeding, sooner or later your chest will hurt you, your back will hurt you, and you will not be too enthusiastic because when you think of the pain. So that's another thing for the mother. You always have to make sure that you are comfortable when breastfeeding. Rest your back. If you have to lift your feet, please lift your feet. You have to be comfortable, because we know that babies should breastfeed between 10 to 12 times in a 24-hour period. And for those 10 to 12 times, sometimes you may last for 10 minutes, and sometimes some of them may last for 20 minutes, depending on the child. If the child is a heavy eater,
some people will say 1 hour. Yeah.
Well, so you need to be comfortable. You totally need to be comfortable. So those are some of those things. So we've talked about comfort. So when you have sore nipples, there are some things that can help. Cold cucumbers. I'll start with a home remedy. No, in fact, the first thing, breast milk.
Yeah.
You can express breast milk and just dab it over the sore nipples. Yeah. That's one thing. 2, rest that nipple. There are 2 breasts. So when one is very sore, you just you can apply the breast milk, put it in your breast pads, and just apply it and expose, because exposing also helps it to heal faster. And then let the child nurse on the other breast. And then from time to time, you alternate until you heal properly. Another home remedy, cucumbers. You can put it in the fridge so that when you cut it, when you slice it, and then you put it over the breast, it's calming. Yeah, when it's cold. And then, I don't know, it has healing properties. I know some people have used all these things. Then I know that there's this cream, Lalonine cream. We have different manufacturers, and they usually say that it is safe even when the baby latches on, with it on, though I would say clean it off when the baby wants to bed. I think it also helps to numb the nipples, so that when the baby is sucking, you don't really feel it.
I used so the method I used was the alternating by pumping and all that, and I used nipple cream too, and it really helped.
And I know some people have talked about using a nipple cap
Oh, that shield thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Some have used it. Those in some school of thought say no, don't, because then the baby is not really learning to latch properly. But if it relieves the pain, because I know someone who said that was what she used and it worked for her. I mean, if it relieves the pain, please by all means use it. The goal is to have the child breastfeed.
Sure.
Do you understand?
Sure.
So that's the goal. So if it helps you, please use it. So whatever helps, please use. But as much as possible, try to expose the breast, because in exposing it, expose the nipple rather, in exposing it, it helps to heal faster.
So today we have already discussed the challenges and what you should expect for the first few weeks or the first few days of breastfeeding. The highlight is, first of all, you have to understand that every mother is different. Everybody is different. Your experience with the initial breastfeeding will be different. It will not be as, some people will have it very easy, some their milk will come quickly, some not as quickly, so you have to be patient. The key thing is having the right information so you are not agitated or you're just, or giving up. That's another thing, or giving up too quickly. So just understand that it might not happen the way it's happening for your friend or for your mother or whoever around you. So know that everybody's different. How it will happen for you will be different from every other person's experience. There will be, might be, since everybody's case is not the same, there might be pain, and just power through the pain. It's part of motherhood.
Yeah.
It's part of the joys of motherhood. There's someone I know that says it's happy joy or something. She calls it something. Yeah. So it's part of the joys of motherhood. So we pass through the pain because we understand the benefits of breastfeeding. So power through the pain. There are ways that can help with the sore nipple, expose the breast, use breast milk. You can also use cold cucumbers and alternate between the breast so that you have relief from the pain. So we'll also insert pictures of the positions that can help with better latching for the child, and understand that the child too is also inexperienced. The way you see an inexperienced, it's the child's first time too, so don't be too hard on the child. Know that they would also get better with time, and the first few days the breast milk can trickle, it won't be so much, but for her it was the second day, for me it was like the next week or so. You'll be like, this thing is too much. It's too much. So be patient. Key thing, be patient. Have the information you need beforehand, knowing that it won't happen. It's not a generic experience. Everybody's own is different. So I hope that.
Hey, sorry. And there's the thing about fluid. We didn't talk about fluid, how the mother taking in fluid.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And then there's also, for lactation experts, they've also talked about certain foods that help to, you know,
increased flow,
lactation flow. So you may also want to, you know, consider that.
There are a lot of lactation treats.
Yes.
That people sell these days.
Yeah.
So we can put the links of all the ones we know, lactation cookies, lactation granola, they have
all of those
smoothies,
things.
all those things. So we'll put the links there. So those are the things that can also help establish the milk
production or milk flow. But the most important thing that I would advocate for is take fluids. Fluids.
Yes. So we hope that this has helped you to understand the challenges and know exactly what you are in for, because we must breastfeed exclusively.
Yeah.
So see you in our next video.
Bye.
Bye.